What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Thursday. Got Jack Gentry back in the seat after his Scottsdale trip. We'll see if Jack did his homework on time or if we don't have Jack's homework. But no, we're going to have a lot of great conversations today. Will Levis is officially the Titans starting quarterback. And we heard from Will Levis yesterday at Titans practice and also heard from the exiting starting quarterback and Ryan Tannehill, who gave his reaction to the news, an emotional reaction, and we'll have a conversation about Ryan Tannehill and a specific question he was asked last in his press conference yesterday that we'll have second half of today's show. But Will Levis has an opportunity to shock the NFL again this upcoming Sunday, and we'll discuss what that opportunity is and how we think that could potentially happen. And we got some stats to back that up. Also, Mike Vrabel gets emotional. And it's like pretty interesting. So we're going to play that video as well. Jack, hope you had a great trip. I hope you've had a great week so far. I'm almost done with the Tighten Up podcast from this week, but tons of things to get to before we have the Magic Bucket. So welcome in. Let's get this thing rolling.
Hey, happy to be here. It's another big game week, and the Tampa Bay Bucks are on the schedule this time around. Can't wait to talk about that game a little bit and Will Levis, what he might have to do on Sunday to help the Titans get a win. But for now, I know I had homework to do. We'll check in on that later. You guys have homework to do right now, and that is to share the show. So if you're watching on Facebook, share the show to all of your Titans groups. I know y'all are in there. I know y'all are talking about the decision. Ryan Tannehill, Will Levis, Mike Vrabel. There's been a lot to talk about this week after the Thursday night loss to the Steelers, but that was 7 days ago. So let's make sure we're sharing the show on Facebook. If we're watching on YouTube, tap that bell icon. Turn your notifications on so you get an update every time A to Z Sports goes live. Finally, if you're watching on Twitch, text that Twitch link to your Titans text groups. Send that in there. Bring everyone in here. We'll grow the conversation. It's getting really close to game day, so we're going to start having some of those conversations. I want to hear from you guys throughout the day in the chat. So, Austin, with all that being said, let's kick this thing off.
Yeah, and hit that like button. We need more likes on Facebook and on YouTube. We need more likes. Hit the button already. But yeah, let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Jack Gentry of the Tighten Up podcast on the A to Z Sports Podcast Network. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go. Make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, keeping your information safe online, and get a 2-week free trial with our link only at aura.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations in the mid-state area, Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro, online at KrebsKubota.com. So Jack, back in the saddle today. Will Levis is officially the starting quarterback as of Tuesday afternoon when Mike Vrabel shared that news. But we had an opportunity to hear from the brand newly anointed starting quarterback. He's been the quarterback for the last 2 games because Ryan Tannehill was injured, but now Mike Vrabel has him officially as a starter. Here is Will Levis.
What kind of conversation did you and Ryan have after Mike made his decision, and how'd that go?
I mean, just he's been really good throughout this whole process with keeping the relationship professional while at the same time, like, helping me out how he can. But, yesterday at practice, like, doing a good job of stepping in and letting me know that, the reps, even in the beginning of practice with the ones, like, I didn't want to step over him, but he came to me first to be like, hey, this is you. So it was cool to hear that. But I know that isn't going to change our relationship and how we go forward.
What was your feeling, I guess, when Mike told you the news, and anything changed for you as far as how you have approached things really over the last couple of weeks?
No. I mean, the news didn't change anything. It was cool to hear that, and to see it become official, but it doesn't change really much how I'm approaching things.
seems like a guy that didn't just get like the biggest news of his life, 2 days ago, that he's the starting quarterback of an NFL franchise. Seems very centered when he says things aren't going to change the way that he prepares. I believe him. I tend to believe what I'm watching there for Will Levis, that he's keeping his focus. He's not getting too high, and that he's preparing to go out there and hope the Titans get a win against Tampa Bay. But Jack, what was your initial reaction to seeing what Levis said and what he did yesterday during that press conference?
Well, I just think the whole thing has to be a sense of relief, right? Because now Tannehill's coming back, and you're sure of where you stand in the coach's eyes. It's Levis's job. He now has a much longer leash. I think that'll make him feel comfortable. And it's not that he's shown that he's afraid to make mistakes, because he doesn't care. He's going to throw the ball all over the yard. He's going to take deep shots. He's going to try and fit the ball in tight windows. Will Levis has not played safe or conservatively, while not having many turnovers as well, which is a nice combo to have. So he hasn't really played it safe. He hasn't been checked down Charlie. I just think this whole thing's a relief to him, because Ryan Tannehill's back, and this is Levis's job. And look, Ryan Tannehill seems like a guy who's going to sit there and help Levis when he's needed. And next year Ryan Tannehill may find a starting spot somewhere else, maybe down south in Atlanta, but who knows? For now, his job is to coach Will Levis along. And look, Ryan Tannehill could be back, in the snap of a finger with this offensive line, right? I mean, we saw what Ryan Tannehill get banged up the last 2 seasons behind those guys. And Will Levis, who knows, it could be the same way. Although Will Levis's release is quicker, I think he makes really strong decisions quickly. He's able to read and process a defense better than a lot of people, including myself, thought he might be able to. Mm-hmm. So this whole situation right now doesn't feel awkward to me. It feels like there is a sense of relief there.
I do think there's awkwardness, because Levis mentioned that, Ryan had to be like, all right, these are your reps. This week is the first time that Levis has taken first team reps with Tannehill back on the field practicing. Tannehill was limited, working through his ankle injury, and Levis had to be pushed forward. Like, no, it's yours. You're the starter. And then Ryan confirmed, this is you. Go get it. Go be the QB1, which I thought was really interesting. So let's hear from Ryan Tannehill on how he took the news from Mike Vrabel that he is not the starting quarterback anymore.
When you got hurt there in the Baltimore game, could you maybe feel or see the writing on the wall with this quarterback change coming?
No, not initially. As time's kind of progressed, I've tried to walk through those emotions and prepare myself and just see the possibility. But in the initial moment, no.
I know you're a competitor, you want to play. How did the news hit you, and maybe how do you approach things moving forward?
Well, it hits hard. I mean, never been in this situation before, so it hits hard. Never a situation that anyone wants to be in. But it's the situation I'm in, so got to walk through it.
How do you think Will has done, and how you support him?
Yeah, he's done some good things, obviously. Came in and played really well the first game, and did some good things last game as well. So I'm going to be here to answer any questions he has and try to help him out along the way.
How long prior to the team meeting did Mike inform you? Was it just before? Was it a couple of days? Just how long were you sitting on the information?
Well, we had a conversation on Monday, so it was a little before.
How you feel physically, I guess, and now your mission is to try to get yourself in a position to play if you're needed again? Yeah,
not quite there yet. Getting closer. Just trying to stay on top of everything I can do to keep progressing and getting better. The thing is getting better. Just not quite ready yet.
So Tannehill even says there he's really not even ready yet to go out there. Again, limited with the ankle injury. And I do think it's interesting. Titans fans are going to have a lot of opinions, and we'll talk about Ryan Tannehill more later in the show after we get through all of our Levis talk. But a few comments that I saw there during that Tannehill video we played. Jay says, gotta love a guy who quits in the middle of a playoff game. I don't know where the evidence is that anybody quit in the middle of a playoff game. So Jay, I don't know what conversation you're having or what team you're talking about. That makes absolutely no sense. DeMarco says he should have seen it. He's been trashing for a while. And Orlando says he saw nothing wrong with 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And I don't think Tannehill said that he didn't see anything wrong. But when Ryan Tannehill says, no, he didn't see it coming at first, or didn't think it was a possibility, we have to remember the Titans were in London and then they had a bye week. And so there was a long time before Will Levis or Malik Willis took the field as a starter while Tannehill was hurt, where he still had to believe this is my job when I get back healthy because I'm the best quarterback on the roster. And then Will Levis goes out there against the Falcons in that first game after the bye week and throws 4 touchdowns, and the Titans win and score the most points they have since Ryan Tannehill threw 4 touchdowns in the last week of the 21 season. So, like, that's where he didn't see it coming initially because Levis, it was 2 full weeks before Levis blew up like that in his debut.
Yeah, and I don't really believe that he didn't see it coming after that Falcons performance because he knows he's in the final year of his contract. He knows the Titans spent an early second round draft pick on Will Levis, who they're hoping will be the future and who appears to have shown signs early that he could be that guy moving forward. But it is tricky because Mike Vrabel in all of his pressers leading up to naming Will Levis as a starter seemed to stick by Tannehill. This is Ryan's job when he gets back. And the whole, like, you can't lose your job due to injury thing that's, common around all walks of sports. So I think there was some reason to be a little surprised if I'm Tannehill. And, I feel like I've got the locker room. I feel like I've done a lot here in Tennessee, 38-23. What's he got? Like 14. I've got it in front of me here. 14 game-winning drives, 11 fourth-quarter comebacks. But that's not the Ryan Tannehill we've seen lately. Last year, didn't have the supporting cast to really have a big season. The offensive line was a big letdown. He ended up getting hurt. This season, more of the same, but you compound that with poor decision-making, bad throws, a lot of turnovers, and here you have the result of all of that. It's finally come to a head. Will Levis has played well enough to take that job from Tannehill, and I know it's going to be tough for Ryan Tannehill. He probably wanted to play through this last season. I think all of us prior to the start of the season saw him starting all 17 games unless something went wrong down the stretch. However, the injury popped up. That allowed Levis an opportunity to shine. He did that, and the Titans made the right decision at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I do want to get to something Jay said that he wasn't talking about Tannehill when he brought up the gotta love players who quit in playoff games. Jay says, Austin pulling a buck on me, taking in a chat convo with fellow chatters out of context. I'm sorry, Jay. Apologies. Did not mean to do that. We don't see and can't tell when you guys are having convos with each other and not just saying things, reacting to things that we were saying. So, we're trying to reach out.
I think he's talking about Jay Cutler right there.
Oh,
but
okay.
Hey, Jay Cutler did tear his MCL in the playoff game. Hard to play through. Anyway,
yeah, for sure.
Let's get back on track.
Yeah, and Stanley McMurray says, Austin, looks like you lost that Tannehill passing yards bet. Yeah, no, I didn't officially make it. Thank God. I didn't place the actual money, but I did feel confident about that. And Ryan did give a super chat that I want to get to. I'm not trying to skip it. I'm just trying to get through our initial video plan there, Ryan, before I get to super chats and we get off on different other conversations. But Ryan does say, Austin, I want to apologize for giving you such a hard time on Levis. You owned it, and for that, nothing but respect. I thank you. Didn't need the apology, but I appreciate that, Ryan, for those words. So, Jack, before we dive deeper into what Will Levis can do to shock the NFL again this upcoming Sunday, I want to play a video that I just saw right before the show that we didn't plan on. And Jack, I don't think you have seen this video. And I don't know if many people have seen this video because it was in the corners of X and it doesn't have a lot of likes or retweets or anything. So I think this is a kind of a video that not many have seen of Mike Vrabel getting emotional when discussing the decision that was made at the Titans quarterback starting spot. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care whenever an injury occurs in life. You go check out the Bone and Joint Institute, have them help you get back to health. Don't let that linger. Don't let that injury continue to be an inconvenience in your life. So they have the experts and all the resources, the technology there in Franklin and online at boneandjointtn.org.
Speaking of resources, BetMGM has plenty on their own. That's why they're the king of sports books. They've got a great promotion going on right now with us where new users can sign up with our bonus code A to Z Sports and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. You can bet it on whatever you'd like, whenever you'd like, but make sure you use our bonus code A to Z Sports to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
That's right. All right. So, Jack, I want to get to this video here about Mike Vrabel on the Mike Vrabel show, hosted by Mike Keith. And I believe this is on the Titans website / YouTube channel. So this is something that's not just like, you have to go find it, right? This is not, I don't think it's on radio. I don't think it's broadcasted on actual television. It's, I believe, just on their site / YouTube. So here is Mike Keith going back and forth with Vrabel about the decision that was made to make Will Levis the starter and the benching of Ryan Tannehill.
In certain situations, it's been held, that information, for maybe a competitive advantage. Why did you decide against that and to go ahead and make the announcement public?
Well, I just felt like for everybody involved, and so that we can move past it and, just, make it clean. And, again, I don't know, hold it. And, it's a decision I made.
Yeah, it's hard to hold it in this day and time, too.
We're just made a decision and went with it and felt like, hopefully now the focus can be on our preparation and how do we find a way to win a game on the road.
You had an extra day.
That moment there where Mike Vrabel not really sure how to put words together and then had, the dropping of the head was very interesting to see him. There was no denying that Mike Vrabel has an affinity for Ryan Tannehill, for how he's approached the last 4+ years as the Titans quarterback. And Trey says Vrabel seems really attached to Tannehill. Is that just me? No, I think that's, and Joey asked, why is he so caught up on Tannehill? Jonathan says cringy. No, I don't think it's cringy. I just think I went off on the post-game show last Thursday night after the Steelers game because I was appalled at how a portion of Titans fans were taking personal shots at Treylon Burks the night that he got carted off the field and was unconscious on the football field. I was like, criticize players, yes, but dehumanizing players is something that fans really do because of the internet. And I think people that are surprised that Mike Vrabel is that emotional when discussing the benching of Ryan Tannehill, who he's been working with to try to win games the last 4+ years. It's like these things, people are like, they're real humans that are trying to spend a lot of time together to reach goals. So it just shows you that is a real relationship. It's not just like football is business, but it's not just business. There are real people behind it.
I'd like to get a body language expert on the show and show them that clip right there, because everything we've heard from Vrabel is pro Tannehill, right? Tannehill, Ryan's our guy when he comes back, and it felt like Vrabel was always going to be in Tannehill's corner as long as Tannehill was on the roster through thick and thin. And there has been thick times and there has also been thin times. But, that reaction right there leads me to believe that maybe this wasn't fully his call to go with Levis. Maybe there was a voice coming down from the top, whether it be Amy Adams Strunk or Rand Carthon, that said, hey, like we got to see what we have in this guy so we know what to do this offseason. And that's responsible, right? And, it's going to help you out in the long run. While it may be uncomfortable and there will be some hiccups along the road, it does help you out in the long run, figuring out your draft plan, figuring out which free agents to target this offseason. For the big picture, Will Levis is the right idea. Vrabel still wants to win games. He thinks Tannehill gives him the best shot despite the struggles early this season. That's and kind of how he acted during that question, looking away, looking down. It feels like he's hiding something and he's holding something in.
Been an eye contact person.
Exactly. It feels like he's holding something in or holding something back. And, obviously he's not going to say who made the decision, but It does feel like maybe someone came down from the top and said, "Hey, we got to roll with Levis."
Either that, or it's like he knows the right decision is to go with Levis moving forward, but he hates that Tannehill had this happen to him, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to play it again just because I feel like it's really good, and it's a video that I don't think has been seen that much. But Mike Vrabel with Mike Keith on the Mike Vrabel show from the Tennessee Titans.
In certain situations, it's been held, that information, for maybe a competitive advantage. Why did you decide against that and to go ahead and make the announcement public?
Well, I just felt like for everybody involved, and so that we can move past it and, just, make it clean. And, again, I don't know, hold it. And, it's the decision I made.
Yeah, it's hard to hold it in this day and time, too.
We just made a decision and went with it and felt like, hopefully now the focus can be on our preparation and how do we find a way to win a game on the road.
You had an extra day.
There's a lot of respect that I think you have to, make it clean, rip the Band-Aid off, move forward, not just linger in this abyss of not being clear and communicating. I remember a conversation that I had with Jason McCourty after Ken Wisenhunt was fired in the locker room, of McCourty saying, what I like about Mike Mularkey is that he tells us how it is. Like, he doesn't play games behind closed doors. He keeps it easy for us, and we know what to expect when he tells us what it is. And Mike Vrabel very much the same way. We'll talk about the criticism and, the relationship that Levis has with Vrabel here second too. But, it's, don't just let something fester and then everybody's looking around like, all right, what are we doing here? Because Mike Vrabel wants to protect a relationship with Ryan Tannehill or protect Ryan Tannehill's legacy or public perception or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I like what Antoine kind of pointed out here. Keyword, we made a decision. So many times we hear Vrabel
He didn't say
taking...
I. He didn't say I made a decision.
So I was going to say, so many times we hear him say I with this roster and the decisions that he goes and makes with, certain position groups. So that was interesting to me. It's tough. I understand the attachment to Ryan Tannehill, right? He's been nails in the regular season for the most part in Tennessee. He's won 61% of his starts, dominated the AFC South. He's 15-5 in his career in Tennessee against the AFC South. It's extremely rare to dominate a division that way. And, he beat the Ravens in the playoffs. He beat the Chiefs a couple times in the regular season. He's done a whole lot, 3 straight postseason appearances, back-to-back AFC South titles. All of this, and we had Lucas Panzica on the Tighten Up Pod this week, and Lucas made a point to where he said Ryan Tannehill kind of saved the Mike Vrabel era because Tannehill played flawless football in 2019 and 2020, and when he wasn't on top of his game in 2021, he still managed to lead a depleted roster to the number 1 seed in the AFC South. Now, what happened after that has kind of left a sour taste in every Titans fan's mouth about Ryan Tannehill, but we can't forget all of the successes that he had and really what he did for Mike Vrabel, and that's probably playing a part in the body language and the uncomfortability and having to make this tough decision.
All right, so we're going to have to do so. We're going to have to flip because we're kind of naturally in this Ryan Tannehill conversation because of the Mike Vrabel thing. I do want to get to this too. Ken says, after you just rattled off all those stats, 15-5 in the division, also, winning the South, getting the 1 seed back-to-back years. Ken says, now what was his playoff record? Ken, I would challenge you. I'm going to challenge Ken Kenneth, who watches this show awesome, a lot of times. Go find me the list of NFL quarterbacks who have a winning playoff record, please. Ken, that is your homework. Go find me a list of NFL quarterbacks with a winning record in the playoffs, because that's usually not how it works. How about this to drop on Ken? Is Eli Manning a Hall of Fame quarterback? Yeah, right? He is. He will be in the NFL Hall of Fame.
I'm an Ole Miss guy, and I don't know if he should be, but he's a New York guy, so he's going to be.
Yeah, he's going to be in the NFL Hall of Fame, right? Did you know that Eli Manning did not win a playoff game outside of the 2 Super Bowls that he won?
That's fascinating. That's how tough it is. I mean, every quarterback with a winning playoff record is in the Hall of Fame, essentially. Like in Hall of Fame quarterbacks do not grow on trees. Titans fans know this. So, and look, Tannehill did come up short in the postseason. That's not what we're here to talk about today, but he did. We acknowledge that he could have been better in the playoffs. But everything that he did in the regular season is not erased by what he did against the Ravens in the playoffs. How he looked against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So,
do you know what
and the
Peyton
Bengals
Manning's
lost as well.
playoff record was?
What was he, like, slightly above 500?
14-13. One game. And it was the last game he ever played. The Super Bowl, his second Super Bowl, that he couldn't throw the ball 10 yards in, put him over 500 in the playoffs. Peyton Manning was 14-13 in the playoffs. So Ken, there's an easier start to your homework. I gave you Peyton Manning's number. Now you can go figure out the other quarterbacks that have winning records in the playoffs. All right. So
great context, though.
Yes. So let's talk about this. I'm going to flip it. We're going to talk about how Will Levis can shock the NFL. We've got some stats to go along this and what the opportunity that he has coming up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But let's hear Ryan Tannehill was asked a question by Paul Kaharski about the Cincinnati Bengals playoff game and what that means. And so we're going to dive into that here with this conversation.
Do you think that the Cincinnati game has too much prominence when people look at your overall work as the starting quarterback on the Titans?
Last time we played them, we beat them, so I'm not sure.
Playoff game.
I don't know. That's up to someone else to decide. Feel like I feel like I did a lot of good things for this organization and kind of turned things around for a good period of time and won a lot of football games. So it wasn't perfect, never is perfect, but hopefully people can look back and see the good things that I did and how I helped this city, helped this organization, and helped turn things around.
Thank you, Rob.
So I wanted to leave it the image of Tannehill walking off the podium and the media saying thanks, Ryan, because it's kind of like the last time we're gonna have that moment of thanks, Ryan, walking off of the podium unless an injury happens to Will Levis this season. But I want to ask everybody this because I thought that the question by Paul was fair because there's no other time that Paul's going to have a chance to ask that question to Ryan Tannehill until I don't know when, until Ryan Tannehill's no longer with the organization, whatever it might be. But so, we'll talk about, is that Bengals game fairly or unfairly held by the Titans fan base for him? But we also want to ask this question. What was the best moment in Ryan Tannehill's era as the Titans quarterback? What was the best moment of Ryan Tannehill's era as the Titans quarterback? So we'll get to your opinions on that. But first, Krebs Kubota is where you should turn for all of your equipment needs. It's the holiday season. You want to get that person who's in charge of the projects around the house or on the property, doing things outside to make sure your yard, your lawn, whatever you've got going on is in peak condition for the spring. Then Krebs Kubota is where you should go for that holiday gift this holiday season. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment provider, an elite Kubota dealer with the best equipment in the industry, the best warranties in the industry with what Kubota provides, but also great customer service with their 3 locations across Middle Tennessee: Columbia, Franklin, Murfreesboro. KrebsKubota.com is where to go. If you need to buy the equipment, big or small, new trimmer, new mower, they've got all the different types of mowers. They've also got tractors, utility vehicles, and more for the bigger projects, or you can just rent the equipment if you need it at online KrebsKubota.com.
Check out BetMGM if you're looking to get some skin in the game. And look, there's a game going on tonight. The Panthers are 3.5-point underdogs to the Chicago Bears. Can you imagine the Bears being 3.5 favorites in any game? Nonetheless, with Tyson Bagent as their starting quarterback, I've already got some action in on BetMGM on the Panthers, so you should too. And even better, before you do any of that, plug in our promo code A to Z Sports. You'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. You'll start out in the green, you'll have some extra money in your account, and you'll be able to win even more with that. So when you sign up on BetMGM, make sure you use our bonus code ATOZ Sports to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
All right, so we asked the question, what was the best moment of Ryan Tannehill's Titans starting quarterback era, there's a lot of good ones because it's easy for fans to harp and remember the Bengals playoff game that was a dramatic shift in how the fan base felt about the guy. And look, he was never really the same, but there's a lot of really good comments in here, Jack. And I want to go back and this is not my answer, but I do think there's a moment that really stands out to me that I'm just like, that was awesome. Was when he went down in LA against the Chargers last year. He was in the blue tent, the infamous him looking out of the blue tent screenshot from the broadcast that day. But he came back in the game and tied the football game with like a minute or under a minute left. But then the defense gave up the defense gave up the field goal to the Chargers to lose. But Ryan Tannehill coming back and actually getting it with his legs to win that or to try to tie that Chargers game after being out with a second injury to the ankle that season was pretty incredible. But Jack, I'll send you to the chat to see what everybody says about their best moment in Ryan Tannehill's tenure as Titans starting quarterback.
Yeah, Lou Man starts us off on YouTube, says TNF. I imagine that's Tuesday Night Football against the Bills. That game was awesome. Let's see. AFC Championship from Matt Drew. Best moment was out playing Tom Brady in Foxborough, Ryan Kennedy. That's a game I don't think many Titans fans will forget for the rest of their lives. Let's see. Whoever they beat before the Chiefs AFC Championship game. So that's that Ravens game where the Titans won and advanced to the AFC title game. Defeating number 1 seed Ravens in the playoffs. So Jason L's on the same page there. Ravens playoff game from in Ontario. Then we have getting the number 1 seed in the playoffs that year when everybody was hurt, which was a really impressive feat. And a lot of people, despite Tannehill not having the best season that year statistically, a lot of people really gave him his flowers. And then he ends up losing to the Bengals, and all is forgotten, sadly, in Titans land about all the good Tannehill did that year. How about this? I remember this game, and I don't think I'll forget it anytime soon. 2019, Titans-Chiefs last-minute comeback win. Chiefs are set up to kick the field goal. Josh Kalu blocks it. Ryan Tannehill leads them on a touchdown drive. That was a fascinating game.
Right? Adam Humphries catches the touchdown and dives over the end zone, getting smacked in like 2 directions. Yeah.
That was awesome. The entire 2019 playoff run. Tighten up. I'm with you there. Colby West says game-winning drive beating the Chiefs. Curtis C goes negative. He says 3 picks against Cincinnati. I don't think it's fair to define Ryan Tannehill's legacy on one playoff game, but a lot of people will do that. Yeah. Let's see. Divisional week, deep pass to Khalif Raymond against the Ravens.
Mine. That's mine.
Ah, you stole mine.
Did I steal it? Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll come up with another one, but I do want to talk about that one for a second. Because that was not just the first touchdown pass, but because he hit Jonnu Smith in the first quarter of that Ravens playoff game with a beautiful throw to the back corner of the end zone there to Jonnu Smith, who made that crazy catch where his butt landed in or whatever to score that touchdown. The Titans take a 7-0 lead. And then at the very beginning of the second quarter, I want to say, I'm trying to go back to the play-by-play of that game to remember specifically, but it was when the Titans defense got the stop on 4th down. It was 4th down and 1 at the 45-yard line. David Long Jr. slides in there and scrapes in to get Lamar Jackson short of the first down marker. And the very next play, Tannehill goes play action bomb to Khalif Raymond to go up 14-0. And I was like, damn, what a throw. And from that point on, like, I don't even know how many times the Titans threw the ball after that because, Tannehill only had 88 yards in that game. And I want to say all but like 1 completion was before and on that touchdown, because then it was just the Derrick Henry show, 30 carries for 195. Ryan Tannehill had 6 carries and a touchdown run that night too. So like people always hated on Tannehill only averaged like 100 yards or 90 yards in that playoff run. Yeah, but like he threw 3 touchdown passes 2 against the Ravens right there to go up 14-0. And remember, he hit Anthony Ferkser in New England to go up in that game, early in that game too. And then they rode Derrick Henry to 1,000,000 yards and to win the game. And he had 3 total touchdowns in that Ravens game. And then Derrick Henry threw the touchdown pass to Corey Davis. So like, I thought that Ravens game in the playoffs was my favorite. And Anthony, I'll let you get back to it, Jack. Anthony says, all this stuff y'all talking about with Tannehill resulted in what? Resulted in a great 3-ish plus years of Titans football. Like, where are we?
Yeah. Tannehill
Where
took the
are
Titans.
we?
Tannehill took the Titans to heights they hadn't seen in 2 decades. And we're saying it's not enough. 31 teams come up short every year.
I find it beyond asinine that people like Anthony, and Anthony, like Ken, watches the show all the time. Anthony's like, all this stuff resulted in nothing. And quickly remembers that Ryan Tannehill was the first guy to win a playoff game or get a home playoff game since 2003. Like, Ryan Tannehill won the division for the first time since 2008. Like, what are you talking about, man? They won back-to-back division titles for the first time since Steve McNair. Like, this is just ridiculous that you're like, oh, it resulted in what? You don't tell me that you did not have fun, Anthony, in 2019 and 2020, especially when the 2020 Tennessee Titans were rivaling Kurt Warner's Rams with the greatest show on turf. Like, put up Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, and Marshall Faulk, and those numbers to Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry 2K, and then Corey Davis. Like, and Jonnu Smith had 8 touchdown catches. Like, that is insane, Anthony, that you are really, really that short-sighted and that short-term memory loss of how good the Tennessee Titans were for a stretch of about 35 to 40 games.
Yeah, get that hate out of your heart. Anyways, mine. Since you kind of stole my Khalif Raymond idea, because I think that play is going to stick with most Titans fans when they think about the Tannehill era and the good times. That play has to be at the top of the list. I think the fact that me, you, Trey, and a bunch of the comment section agreed that play was at the top of the list, it kind of confirms that. But I want to go back to the 15-5 against the AFC South because the Titans have been jockeying with Indianapolis. They couldn't get past Andrew Luck. Finally, they did when Andrew Luck retired. Jacksonville, Houston, those were all kind of 50-50s throughout the year. Tannehill gave the Titans an edge that they hadn't had in 2 decades. And they graduated from those rivalries just for the time being. Now we're back. But for a short time, the Titans graduated from their divisional rivals. And they were up there with the likes of the Ravens and the Chiefs. And just being in that national conversation where, week in and week out, Good Morning Football, NFL Blitz, whatever it was, you had to talk about the Titans. They were playing too well to ignore. And, you brought it up. They rivaled the greatest show on turf that one season. Titans did lead the NFL in scoring offense for an entire season. The Tennessee Titans did that. I don't know if that'll happen ever again in my lifetime, but they did it one time with Ryan Tannehill. And, it's there. You can't, it's hard for me to describe the Ryan Tannehill era in just one play or one memory. But the fact that the Titans could beat anybody, anytime, anywhere, when Ryan Tannehill was playing his best football and when he had a capable supporting cast, those, and just like the confidence I had every Sunday morning when I woke up that my favorite team could dog walk the team that they were playing, those are the things that I'll remember. And that's kind of how I remember Ryan Tannehill before things turned south when Todd Downing arrived.
And so Farsender says Tannehill's the second best quarterback in the Titans era. And I mean, yes, he will not be remembered that way at all. Like, Steve McNair is held to such an unbelievably high standard that I don't think will ever be beat. But Ryan Tannehill's numbers for that stretch were better than McNair's. And that's okay. McNair is still the ultimate legend for this franchise, especially in moving to Nashville. But Ryan Tannehill was incredible for 4 years. And I think last year people dog Tannehill for his lack of numbers when you look at what he was doing and how he was fighting. And he was actually like analytically pretty solid in 2021 before his ankle stopped him from being able to move. Now, Anthony comes back and says, had fun doing what, Austin? Scoring 30 points a game, Anthony. Like, don't tell me that you were, arms on your shoulders crossed, pissed off, watching the Titans average 30 points a game in 2020. That's what you had fun doing. You had fun winning playoff games there too, Anthony. And then Section 240, our guy Bonafide Bro on YouTube says, I think Anthony means it resulted in nothing now, hung some banners for the AFC South, and that's it. Like, yeah, but like, what were you doing?
Why is it that's it?
Yeah,
like that's tough to do. The Titans haven't done that a whole lot.
And I think, like, so Jack, you brought up the Tighten Up podcast in your guys' episode. I'm not quite done with the episode yet, but you had your going out for a big night reference analogy with Ryan Tannehill that I thought was really strong. And I liked Austin Huff's too. And I think Section 240, Bonafide Bro, is bringing up kind of where Austin Huff was viewing it, that the transition of quarterbacks for the Tennessee Titans is like buying homes. And, I said last week, my wife and I, we bought a house and we're getting ready. I'm tired today because we were at the new house working on some stuff last night, right? Late last night, didn't eat dinner until 11. So I'm dragging ass a little bit today, but it's buying your starter house, right? Like, your starter house is not the end all be all, but it's the way to get you into a spot to progress. Marcus Mariota got you away from being a renter, right? Because you were renting Ryan Fitzpatrick, Zach Mettenberger. You were renting, who else was in that group there? Jake Locker was a bust. Yeah, Charlie Whitehurst. You were renting all these quarterbacks for a long time. Marcus Mariota was that starter house. Was it perfect? No, but it got you in a spot to upgrade to Ryan Tannehill. And Ryan Tannehill was your house you had great memories in. Your family grew. You saw AJ come in and shine. And then AJ went to college, and unfortunately, he went way further away from home than you wanted him to go. He didn't go to the school that you wanted him to go. He went to your rival. And then you see all these great moments and success in this Ryan Tannehill house. But then it's time to move on from that Ryan Tannehill house because the people you enjoyed all those memories with are no longer living there with you. So you downsize, right? You don't downsize to a worse house. You downsize to Will Levis, and then you flip the house. And this is where I'm taking Huff's analogy a little bit deeper. You flip the house with downsizing to Will Levis. It doesn't cost you nearly as much to move into because he's a second-round pick. But, Jack, you've got $90 million of cap space to tear the whole thing out and to build it beautifully to how you want it in this next stage of life. And so Will Levis is your house flip project that you're doing. And the good thing is this could be your forever home. And if Will Levis is your forever home, you've got the resources and the money to make it exactly how you want it. You're not going to be held to having to have 4 bedrooms because Derrick Henry has to run the I formation 25 times a game. No, you can come in and modernize it and not have to worry about the extra space that you're never going to use. And you're going to spend that money to build the perfect franchise quarterback and build that forever home. I think that is a great way to look at Marcus Mariota to Ryan Tannehill to now Will Levis. But you have to make sure you pick the right contractor and Rand Carthon to make sure you get exactly what you want.
Yeah, and who knows, 5 years down the road when you're handing out your second contract to Will Levis, maybe you're in the Governor's Club. Time will tell.
And Orlando, yeah, you got to put on a new water heater and central heat and air. I mean, like right now, like Andre Dillard is not what you need to have as your HVAC unit.
Your mattress is on the floor. You're sleeping on a floor mattress right now.
Exactly. You got to go in the crawl space and fix things up. So I think that's a really good analogy. So Jody asking, is Vrabel the HOA? For Zach's sake, I don't know. We'll see. But so Jack, so my best moment for Ryan Tannehill is the Khalif Raymond touchdown pass to go up 14-0 in Baltimore in the divisional round. So yours was what again? I'm sorry.
It was just graduating from the divisional rivals and getting back on that page of being nationally relevant, discussed in the national media, and kind of jockeying with the big dogs in the AFC, like the Chiefs and the Ravens. And, moving on from, it's just that crappy division in the South to, oh, wait a second. The Titans can beat anybody. They've always got a shot. You wake up on Sunday and you feel like you can beat whoever's in front of you, no matter who, no matter where, no matter when.
Bork says we need a show comparing Titans players to household items. I love stuff like that. I love it. Me and Zach years ago, Jack, is before you. We did a full show comparing SEC football programs to fast food restaurants.
That's fun.
It was great. At that time, Georgia was Chick-fil-A because it was really good, but their players suck on Sunday, right?
Love that.
McDonald's was Alabama because obviously Tennessee was
reliable.
Burger King. Tennessee was Burger King because they're not nearly as good as Alabama, but they wish they were. And Vandy was Red Robin because Red Robin's not really a fast food restaurant. It's way too expensive, and nobody's like, okay, Red Robin, sweet. But it just didn't fit. So that was a couple ones that I remember from that. But that was a hell of a show. Anyway, all right. So and then of course Texas A&M was Whataburger because
it turned out Tennessee was really McDonald's all along.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. All right. So let's get back onto our originally scheduled conversation with Will Levis. So Will Levis has an opportunity to shock, 46 minutes into it. Will Levis has an opportunity to shock the NFL into another incredible performance because he's playing against the same defense that CJ Stroud did this to.
Oh,
the Bucs allowed CJ Stroud on Sunday 30 of 42, 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, a quarterback rating that was 0.5 away from being a perfect 153 point. Math is bad. Sorry. 148, 147.8, a little bit more than 0.5. And then a W in winning in the last moments. So CJ Stroud did this now in Houston against Tampa Bay. I want to know, what does Will Levis's stat line need to be for the Titans to beat the Bucs? Knowing that CJ Stroud did all that, what does Will Levis's stat line need to be for the Titans to beat the Bucs? But first, I'm going to tell you guys, the Farm Bureau Health Plans, they have the stats similar to CJ Stroud against the Bucs too. They've been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years and can help you find that right health plan for your family. We just talked about how the Titans quarterbacks are the different houses in your stages of life. Farm Bureau Health Plans can help you do that by saving money on your health coverage, but getting the right health coverage regardless of the stage of life that you're in. Maybe you are that young professional and you're trying to figure out how to adult the right way and have the right coverage for when you absolutely need it. Maybe you're in that growing family stage and you want to make sure that your kids and your wife, your spouse, your husband, they all have the right coverage. Or maybe it's you're empty nested and that next level of health coverage is coming around the corner for the older stage of life. Farm Bureau Health Plans has all of that for you. It's so easy to get started at fbhp.com/ATOZ.
It's also easy to get started at betmgm.com. They've got a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, you name it, they've got it. It's easy to navigate for new users. Speaking of new users, sign up using our promo code A2Z Sports, and you'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Obviously, we want to hit that first bet. We want to start in the green, but BetMGM's here to say, you know what? Don't worry about it. We're going to help you out anyways. If you miss, you've got insurance. You've got BetMGM insurance by using bonus code A2Z Sports. You'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. If your first bet misses, go ahead and get in on the action tonight.
Yep, visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and other requirements. First online real money wager only. Or just use knowledgeable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem game sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. All right, Jack, I'm going to throw the stats up there for CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud did this against the Bucs defense. What does Will Levis's stat line need to be for the Titans to get a win over Tampa? So I'll let you go to the chat here. What does Will Levis's stat line need to be? We can just go yards and touchdowns, right? We don't need to go completion percentages and quarterback rating, but yards and touchdowns is where we're going to sit here with this. Now, Jay says the Bucs are scrappy, and there's been so much talk coming out of the Titans this week about how Todd Bowles is going to blitz Will Levis and how they change up all their different pressures, how they can, make Will Levis uncomfortable. And the Titans O-line, before I let you get to these comments, Jack, the Titans O-line, is Daniel Brunskill going to play at right guard? It might be Dylan Radins. If Dylan Radins has to play right guard, then he can't play left tackle like a lot of you guys want. So Andre Dillard probably going to be at left tackle. Chris Hubbard should be back at right tackle. And Peter Skronsky told media this week that he's fine. So
Good.
That is good. So Jack, I'll send you the chat. Stat line for a Titans win from Levis.
DeMarco wants 350 and 4 touchdowns. That is a high bar.
But it's also like 120 yards and 2 touchdowns less than what Stroud did.
Yeah, but I don't think the Titans have had a 470-yard passer maybe ever. Major Key says 30 for 35, 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. Dylan Cook wants 250 and 2 tuts. Bork says 250 and 2 tutters. 125 from Kaz. Maybe let Derrick Henry do the rest. Now, the Bucs do have the 9th ranked rush defense. So 125, if Derrick Henry picks up, 150, maybe that's enough. Scott Weaver says 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. I like that number. At least 300 yards and at least 300 plus passing. Byard, 1 TD. That put my brain in a pretzel right there.
I don't know what the hell Pistol Ramsey's talking about.
Pistol Ramsey, come back again. Jags got juice, 2 touchdowns. Patrick Bird says 270 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ronnie Snead with a big game from Levis, 360 and 4 touchdowns. Continuing to scroll here. JR says 2 touchdowns, 200 yards. Simple, easy, efficient. Darren Lee says 2 touchdowns, 19 of 24. Very accurate day. Not a lot of mistakes in there. Jason Martinez, 275, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Baltazar says 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. So we've seen some rushing touchdowns in here. Will Levis can scramble a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll finish here on Jerome. 250 and 2 tugs. I said on the Tighten Up podcast this week, Austin, that it's time for the Titans to take the training wheels off of Will Levis. In last week's loss, we saw them put Levis in a tough situation, only allowing him to throw on 4th down in that second to last drive. And that's not the situation that you want Levis to be in. You want to set him up for success early. You don't want to force him to make the throw on 4th down in his one opportunity. You want to give him a shot on 3rd down, maybe even 2nd down. Throw early. And that's what I expect the Titans to do this week. They're coming off of a Thursday night game, which means they have like a mini bye week. Extra time for Levis to prepare. Extra time for the Titans to figure out what the Bucs do with their blitz packages. I think that's an advantage. So for me, what I need to see from Levis in order for the Titans to win, 275 yards and 2 touchdowns passing. It's about time Derrick Henry finds his way back in the end zone. He's going to help out this week. And the biggest challenge that I believe Will Levis has in front of him with this Tampa Bay defense, we know that they've got a bad pass defense. Carlton Davis can't cover anybody. They ranked 31st against the pass in the NFL. However, they are 2nd in the league in red zone defense. So is Will Levis going to score by taking those big shots, not even worrying about red zone offense and Tim Kelly getting tricky down low? Or are they going to have to kind of grind their way into the end zone with Derrick Henry, with the short passing game, maybe throw a ball up to D-Hop? It's going to be tough, but if Levis can throw for 2 touchdowns, I'm confident that Derrick Henry or Tajay Spears can find the end zone once, maybe twice. And 21 to 28 points should be enough to beat Baker Mayfield in this Buccaneers offense.
Yeah, so I'm looking CJ Stroud, you said the number 2 red zone defense?
Yes, Buccaneers are the number 2 red zone defense.
And I don't know how much that's changed because a touchdown scored in the red zone, 14 yards out from Stroud last week. Then they had another red zone touchdown pass, 9-yard pass from Schultz, and Tank Dell 15 yards at the last play of the game. That's 3 red zone touchdown passes scored by Houston last week. But they also had, a 29-yard touchdown pass and the big 75-yard pass to Noah Brown there too. So the Titans need to hit big plays. We know that they need to score outside the red zone to avoid getting in there. And so Yeah, I think asking for 275 yards is probably too many.
It's high.
I would say 230 yards from Levis and then a total of 3 touchdowns. I think the Titans need to score 3 touchdowns to win this game. And you talk about a good red zone defense from Tampa means maybe it's going to be tougher for Derrick Henry to get in the end zone if they get into the red zone. So I'm going to say 3 total touchdowns for Levis, 230 passing yards. I think that's enough for the Titans to win because, again, like the Texans threw for 470, but they ran for 50, averaging like 3 yards a carry. They can't run the football, and they don't really try to. So the Titans are better at running the football. I do think that's enough for a Titans win. Is 230 in the air and 3 total touchdowns for Will Levis.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm not going to be on the game day show, so I might as well get this out now. I think a big matchup in this game outside of Will Levis on the other side of the ball. You mentioned the Bucs can't really run the football, right? But they do throw it to Rachaad White quite a bit. So how are those linebackers going to cover? That's going to be a big test. But let's say the Bucs come out and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who are capable of beating any secondary, finds a way to beat the Titans. Now, Christian Fulton's really come on in the last 3 games. He's only allowed 47 yards total. George Pickens, -1 yards. He's been shutting down a lot of guys lately. It hadn't been talked about enough. But let's say they revert to kind of what they were to start the season, which was very susceptible to the big play. If the Buccaneers manage to score 21 points, 3 touchdowns, however you draw it up, Will Levis is going to have to be allowed to throw the ball the way he wants to. You can't have a short leash on the guy anymore. If you really want to know what you have, turn him loose, man. Take those training wheels off. Let him take deep shots. Let him figure it out on his own. And, Tim Kelly's there to help. And so is DeAndre Hopkins. And so are the tight ends. So is Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears. Let him cook. That was our podcast episode title this week, is Let Levis Cook. I want to see Mike Vrabel. I want to see Tim Kelly. I want to see the Titans coaching staff just say, you know what? Our hands are off this week. It's all up to you, Levis. Let's go see what you can do. I want them to take their hands off of him. I want him to go out there and throw for 300 yards. I think it's possible. He's got the skill set to do it. And this is a pass defense that will let you have it if you're able to take shots and you're not being held back by your play calling.
I think the reason why I'm much lower, you said 275, I'm saying 230, is because I think throwing for more yards is typically not as good for how the Titans want to win games, right? Because Eric brings up Levis got 262 yards versus the Steelers. He says 275 is very possible. Yeah, that's true. But let's look at this. It was 238 versus the Falcons and they won. And Derrick Henry had 100 yards rushing. He got 262 versus the Steelers and they lost. And Henry was around like 80 yards, I think, on the ground. So that's kind of where that 20 yards goes into play there. But also, let's remember the game situations. The Titans had 2 drives at the end of the first half, the end of the game, where there was no option but to pass. And Will Levis, of his 262 yards on those 2 drives, 123 of his 262 in those 2 drives where you could not run the football. So the game scenario allowed for Levis to have those minute on the clock, 70 yards to go, try to go get points, try to go win the game, that pads the stats more than if it wasn't that clock situation. So I do think the Titans need to run the football more than the Texans to win. But I do think it's, like you're saying, open it up. And I think the Titans are going to have a great chance to beat the Bucs and to get to 4-5 and then go to Jacksonville. And we talked about this yesterday, Jack. Jacksonville's hosting the Niners on a 3-game losing streak. The Jags have won 5 in a row. Is something gonna give in those 2 streaks? I think that's interesting because then that week 11 game becomes massive.
You got to beat the Jags twice, no matter what way you slice it. But the 49ers also get Deebo Samuel back this week. So the Jags have their hands full, no doubt about it.
All right, let's get into some super chats because a lot of super chats have come in. I haven't had a chance to get to them. But first, Aura is where you should protect your information online. Our sponsor, Aura, it really is phenomenal. They protect my information. I signed up with Aura months and months ago, and they have got data brokers out of my life. Data brokers are the ones that are profiting off of selling your information to spammers and telemarketers and robocallers that call you, email you, throw stuff in your mailbox that you just don't want, never asked for. Well, Aura identified 30 data brokers that have my information. They stripped my information away from all 30 of them, and it took like 5 or 6 days. We're going to give you a 2-week free trial with our sponsor, Aura, by using our link, aura.com/ATOZ. It works. I promise. I've been using Aura for over 6 months now. It absolutely works. Protect your passwords, your credit, your identity, as well as the Wi-Fi protection, parental controls there if you want that for your kids at home. 2-week free trial with our link only, aura.com/ATOZ.
Check out BetMGM. It's the king of sportsbooks. We've got a great promotion going right now. New users sign up, use our bonus code A to Z Sports, and you'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Bet it on whatever you'd like. There's plenty of sports going on right now, all at the same time. College basketball, sadly, is underway for Vanderbilt fans. But there's so much to bet on. You got to take advantage, get some skin in the game, and start off on the winning side of things by using A to Z Sports. Receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
All right, super chats. A lot of them are going back towards our conversation earlier in the show about Ryan Tannehill. Jeffrey says, favorite Ryan Tannehill moment was the Raiders game where he chased down Hurst after that interception to save a touchdown.
Yeah.
That was insane. And then he threw for 391, 3 touchdowns. AJ had a ridiculous game, like a 90-yard touchdown catch. AJ had a couple of big plays in that game, and the Titans smoked the Raiders. I believe that was one of the last games in Oakland in that game there. So that's a good one from Jeffrey. Andre says, as much as I trashed Tanny, he was a key cog in turning things around and having an exciting Super Bowl window. I respect him for that. Things were bad before.
Good take.
Definitely. Andre's got several super chats here saying, got to stop making excuses for waiting so long to switch from a lamed up QB while losing games. His play had been bad and he should have been gone. Talking about waiting too long. You know, Vrabel, as we played earlier, Mike Vrabel wasn't going to do that. I'll go ahead and play the emotional video from Vrabel one more time from the Mike Vrabel show from the Titans to kind of make that point hit home.
In certain situations, it's been held, that information, for maybe a competitive advantage. Why did you decide against that and to go ahead and make the announcement public?
Well, I just felt like for everybody involved, and so that we can move past it and, just, make it clean. And, again, I don't know, hold it. And, it's the decision I made.
Yeah, it's hard to hold it in this day and time, too.
We're just made a decision and went with it and felt like, hopefully now the focus can be on our preparation and how do we find a way to win a game on the road.
You had an extra day.
Yeah, a lot of emotion there from Vrabel. Stuff you don't typically see. I saw somebody earlier in the show when we played that saying that he clearly has a lot of care for Tannehill, a lot of care for all of his players, and then kind of remembering the emotional side that Vrabel showed when AJ was traded, but then looking back and showing how Vrabel was talking about AJ, about the depression and the contemplation of suicide that AJ kind of brought up, and that Vrabel and AJ had deep conversations about that. So I think remember, real relationships in all levels of sports. It is business, but there are real relationships.
And Vrabel's the player's coach. He always has been. He doesn't call out players in the media, except for this year. He's done it a couple times. But for the most part, he's got good, he was in tears that Ben Jones finished the game when he was injured. He makes it a point every time to point out, Brunskill, I can't believe he played through those injuries and finished that game. He played the game. He knows the bumps and bruises that come with it and how tough it is to play through some of those things. He's absolutely a player's coach. He respects them, and you can see it with his answers in the media sometimes. We in the media and, Titans fans alike don't really love it because he's not always fully transparent, but he's protecting his guys. And, that's another example of Vrabel kind of being a player's coach. You can tell the relationship he has with Ryan Tannehill has kind of been strained because of this tough decision that he was really forced to make.
Yeah. Do you remember when Vrabel was talking about how Jonnu Smith was raised? He went on this tangent, like Jonnu Smith was raised right, credit to his family and all. I was like, oh, gee, okay. Brandon with a super chat says, want to talk about emotional. Should have heard Buck last night. had a very choice words for Tannehill haters out there. Some fans have short memories. Brandon, yeah, I did not listen to Primetime last night, but I'm sure Buck kind of went to bat for that. We had several of those people that short memories for sure with remembering that. Now, Andre says, Henry, AJ, Arthur saved Tannehill, who saved Vrabel. I mean, yeah, team.
It's kind of how football works, right? There's 11 guys on the field at all times on both sides.
And you could also say at the same time, John Robinson's swings and misses and failures on the offensive line did not do any favors to help Ryan Tannehill extend his Titans starting quarterback career either.
Yeah, and the Titans' approach to the wide receiver position as a whole. I mean, they've handled it about as poorly as anyone could have the last few years, letting AJ Brown walk, missing or not drafting a top flight wide receiver early, waiting Des Fitzpatrick, waiting Colton Dowell. So it's Tannehill hasn't had the easiest life, but I think he's made lemonade out of lemons, and that's kind of where we stand now.
Well, he hadn't had the easiest life the last couple of years, but he's been compensated well for those struggles. Andre, last super chat, he says, I called Burks DGB 2.0 and y'all scoffed. That's because DGB was just not a very dedicated, smart person. And then he said, I called Vrabel bridge head coach, and it was a wild claim. It is. But Vrabel's piss poor decisions have handicapped the Titans. Yeah, I mean, some decisions have been bad. And we've talked about those at a lot of lengths. All right, so Jack, let's go ahead and wrap up with the Magic Bucket. I'm going to get an answer on your homework that you had over your week-long trip to Scottsdale. Magic Bucket time here to wrap up the show. At Wilson County Hyundai, go see our friend Payne Bone and his team in Lebanon for your new ride. Make them a part of that process to find your vehicle that fits your family needs, and great prices, savings, not buying downtown prices, but going to Wilson County Hyundai in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Jack, did you complete your homework assignment of Magic Bucket entries while you and your buddy were?
Yeah, so I knocked out some of it. Okay, it's not fully finished, but great ideas take time, right?
Sure.
Rome wasn't built in a day. I do have about 5 that I want to run by you and the chat and see what they think. Is that okay?
No. You can't do these out in the open. These got to be secret.
Oh, you okay? All right.
I want you to finish your 20, print it off, cut them up in little slices, and then give them to me so I can put them in the bucket.
Okay, that's perfect. I can do it. I've got some good ones, and I know the chat's going to like it when these are drawn. A lot of them early have ingesting things, so I know the chat's into that.
Oh, dear. Okay, let's see here. This one is going to be for me.
Oh, it was easy, I'm sure.
No, I didn't look at it until now. I was trying to think of who went first last week. All right, I think I've done this, but it might have been a while, so I'm just going to do it for the sake of time. That's for the Tannehill haters. I adapted. Okay, Jack, you can do this. I don't know if you've done it.
While you're drawing, there's a leaf blower guy that decided to show up right outside my window. I live on the second floor of a condo. So that's the
Spider-Man is way up there?
I don't know. He's making my life miserable. And Eric Castillo pointed out, sounds like a vacuum. This guy's got to go. I mean, I'm about to just open the window.
All right, so Jack, log on to BetMGM, and we got to place a $10 bet for you with plus money.
$10 bet plus money on BetMGM?
Yep. Of our
Panthers.
choice.
Oh, you get to pick? Or I get to pick?
We get to choose it.
I like Panthers money line tonight. I mean, the Panthers are trying to win football games. They've got Bryce Young. They want to develop him. And the Bears are kind of on the opposite end of that. They don't have Justin Fields. They don't mind losing games with Tyson Bagent because they're not holding anyone back besides themselves, which they want to do in order to get a guy at the top of the draft next year. I think that those two teams are kind of in different places, and I'm shocked that the Bears are 3.5-point favorites. I really like the Panthers to win this game on a short week. Frank Reich's a better coach than Eberflus, and while it hasn't shown this year, I do think Carolina's offense is absolutely better than Chicago's. and they've got a decent little pass rush when it's working well. So give me the Panthers on the road on a short week in Chicago.
That it's not your decision though. That's great.
Oh my God, you just made me go through an entire handicap.
No, I told you that we get to
pick.
pick it. You just kept going.
Oh, I thought you said we get to pick it. Me and you get to pick it.
No, it's that.
So y'all get to.
Yeah, we get to pick it. I'm trying to go to. Our touchdown's not out yet. Passing touchdown. Okay, how about this? Will Levis over 1.5 passing touchdowns plus 155.
What is it? 1.5? You said.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Will Levis over 1.5 passing touchdowns plus 155.
I love it. That's what I said 275 and 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is.
There you go.
I like that bet.
All right, there you go. Will Levis over 1.5 passing touchdowns plus 155. I think that's a hell of a pick.
Let him cook, baby.
Congratulations on that. Hopefully you win that bet. All right, guys. Titans at 2 is coming up at 2:00 today on these same channels with Sam, presented by Doughbird and Green Hills. So Titans at 2 coming up later on for you guys. But do want to tell you, like the show before you go. We need more likes. Hit that thumbs up button on Facebook and on YouTube. Always way more people watching than have actually liked the show. We need you to like it. It helps us out tremendously. Me and Sam will see you guys tomorrow morning on a Friday to prepare for Titans Bucks. Appreciate it as always.